Good. I already talked to two different folks this morning, two different
Awesome.
private consultations. Got the morning started right. It's good.
Right on, right on, right on.
But I've got to say, I need some LED photo lights because I got these crazy giant photo lights a bunch of years ago. I won them in some crazy contest, and it was like before the really awesome LED ones, and I still have them. But they are so hot, especially in the middle of the summer. I'm like getting sunburned right now. It's completely
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, the old school ones. I've got like probably $5,000 worth of lighting equipment,
Right.
and I refuse to even use them. Because it's just like you're talking about. You get baked.
Yeah.
And then my buddy John, who's I think you know him,
Yeah.
John Zakins. He found on Amazon this really cool LED lights, the whole kit, like three of them with remote control, so that you can dim them. You can turn them all on, all off at the same time, and you can dim them, and you can change the tint of the light. And three of them with the carrying case and the tripod and everything was like under $200. So I mean, you
Dude,
can't
send me
beat
a
that.
link. Send me a link. I'm in.
All right, I'll find it and
Nice.
get it to you.
Yeah, I've
So
been
right
reading.
now I'm just using a ring light, and it's not ideal. I mean, it's good enough for what we're doing here, but it's like for the green screen stuff. Like when I was doing the green screen stuff last week, I used John's lights to round out the ring light.
Yeah. So today's topic is interesting. I actually got asked about this topic by three separate people in less than 24 hours. And
Cool.
so, but specifically, I want to give a shout out to Ben Evans. Ben, I got your message. Hopefully you're watching this video. The question, I reworded it slightly so it had fewer words and was easier for a title. But basically, it's how do you build trust and rapport with people, people online? The way you do it is through grammatical typos, I believe. So, so actually, there's a lesson within the lesson here, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you, when I titled this, it was going to be like, how do you build bond and how do you build a relationship and a bond with businesses or individuals online, or with a business or individuals online? And I erased it and changed it to how do you build trust and rapport with people online, but I left the A in there. And I guarantee that this video is going to get more views
Because
as a
of that.
result of the grammatical error than it would if it had been accurate. Okay,
That's
and that's
funny.
the lesson within the lesson. It's a very important copywriting lesson. If you like 5 to 10%, I think it's 5 to 8% of your long copy has errors, spelling or grammatical, it catches the eye. And even if people don't realize it, they'll reread the sentence a few times just trying to make sure they read it the right way. They might complain to you about your grammar, and at that point, you're in a conversation with them, which is probably what you want in the first place.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a really powerful way of increasing your conversion with a very unlikely tool, which is misspellings and poor grammar.
Yeah, I don't remember whether it was Ted Nicholas or Joe Sugarman. I think it might be Joe Sugarman, but either it's one of those two brilliant guys that they ran an ad accidentally that unintentionally had typos in it, and instead of reworking it when people were calling in to complain, they turned it into a contest. Circle the typos and send them in to us, and whoever can find all of them or whatever gets some sort of a gift. And actually, what ended up happening is that in the process of reading every single word of the marketing piece, they sold a ton, and at the same time, it was an engagement tool. So like it's right in alignment with what you're talking about there.
Yeah, it's almost like a crossword puzzle, right?
Right.
That's cool. So the lesson here wasn't really supposed to be a copywriting lesson, but hopefully somebody will try this in their next Facebook post or email or ad or whatever, and we'll see what happens.
Bianca says that she didn't even notice the A.
That's right. That's right. So awesome. So what we do want to talk about is how to build trust and rapport online. So Ben asked the question, but here's the thing. Earlier today, I'm not going to name any names. I spoke with two of our viewers and two of our fans, and one of them is working in network marketing and MLM and has a huge background in sales, but only started with this MLM at the very beginning of Corona. And the problem is this particular MLM is not mostly online driven. It's mostly face-to-face driven. Mm-hmm. And so he was kind of shattered when he discovered that his many years of face-to-face sales experience were basically going to become worthless, or so he thought, trying to sell this MLM because he's been stuck at home under quarantine for 3 months.
Right.
So we had a conversation about how to build trust and rapport online in a similar way as you would in a face-to-face sales environment. How do you do that in an internet environment, right? And it's a very good question that until you know the answer, it seems very elusive. We're going to talk about that today. Had another guy who has a ton of experience working in corporate, right, with debt collection and landing big corporate deals, but doesn't have experience building an email list, building a fan base, building a leverage, a large-scale bond, rapport, and trust. Yeah. This guy can land deals. This guy has been a debt collector. He's in the debt collection business. And he wanted to know, hey, how can I build a relationship and connection with my ideal market if they're CEOs or if they're high-level business owners? Won't it be different in that case? And interestingly, in all three of these examples, the question is the same. It's how do you build rapport and bond and trust with a potential customer or client using the internet, right? That's the question. Fortunately, Joshua and I have been doing this for cumulatively almost 40 years. I think we were at 37 years or something when we added up, something in that zone. So let's talk about it, Joshua. Like, what are some of the high-level principles or ideas that you would teach someone about how to build trust and rapport with people online in a similar way as you would in a face-to-face environment? Like, how do you get there? What needs to be done? What are some of the obstacles and challenges? What are some of the things to think about?
I think the biggest obstacle and challenge to overcome globally is this concept of that somehow gravity doesn't apply in the online world. That it's supposed to be push button everything, and it's supposed to be automated everything, and that the only thing that matters is technology and funnels and this type of thing, and advertising and those types of things as the fundamentals. Like, tell me what dial to twist or what button to push that's going to magically make it all happen. And at the end of the day, it's always based on relationships. It's always based, every sale takes place based on a personalized relationship. Now, whether that's a mental conversation, and very often it's a perceived conversation or mental conversation of the relationship. Mm-hmm. And when it happens online, I think the biggest challenge is to not get stuck in the need to force everything to be automated, to use technology, to fall into these things, and we suspend just good judgment. And like the perfect example is network marketing and MLM in the offline world versus the online world. Actually, people that have primarily an offline presence in network marketing, and this applies to literally anything really, do a lot better transferring that to an online environment. Whereas when you get enrolled in a MLM or network marketing that is in their whole pitch is, you don't have to talk to anybody, no meetings, no calling people up, and it's just automated everything, and you just send them to the special website, and bada bing, you're going to get rich overnight, and the systems take care of all of it, which in a perfect world is truthful to a degree. However, it's not serving you. So like the person that is really good at building rapport and relationship offline, if you can follow some of the things that we're going to give you guidance online here to systemize it and start with it in like hand-to-hand, one-on-one type outreach, and then transfer that over to other things. I mean, it's not unlike what Telman and I are doing right now and have been doing for the past, 5-6 months of building our following, doing these live streams. It started as a complete ghost town, and then gradually we got a certain set of followers and a certain, and we knew how to serve them better and interact with them better. So it evolves over time, and it starts really kind of hand to hand. I mean, like if you recall some of our early conversations, it's like, hey, put in the comments this, or reach out to me via direct message, and let's see if we can't continue the conversation or have, before it moves into anything automated, because frankly, we don't know what is going to be serving people yet, because we need to know what people find value in. So I've now monologued for too long, so I'm going to turn it back to you.
All right, now it's time for a tell monologue. So, the beautiful part is that once you know who you're talking to and the types of things that they respond well to, your ability to automate these communications goes through the roof. And so the trick here, if you're trying to learn how to build trust and rapport with people online, it's the same as offline. It's just that it feels different and it can feel awkward. So, for example, if you want to get as close and up close and personal as you can with people. So one way to build trust and rapport with people online is to live stream every day. Okay? It is like just on the ground, practically speaking, it is the best way for you to get comfortable on camera and talking to people. Now,
sure.
It is weird to just get on camera and talk into the abyss. Okay?
For sure.
By yourself. Okay?
No question.
It doesn't mean it's impossible. I've done it for years. But if you're starting with Facebook or YouTube or any of the other places that you can create live video content, at first, it will be a ghost town. However, one great tool that you might find helpful is to find a co-host. I find that when I have a co-host, I've done this with you, Joshua. I did this for a long time with Carrie Sullivan, with our Get Shit Done process. I found a series of co-hosts by doing an interview series and interviewing people 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and scheduling in those time slots, and having an assistant that made that possible. So that years ago. The point is, if you can get a co-host that you need to show up for, you're probably going to show up more often. You're probably going to show up more on time. You're probably going to have somebody interesting to talk to, right? But if you're a monologuer and you're totally down with flipping on the camera, whether it's your laptop, your desktop, or your iPhone or whatever, and live streaming that way, that's great too. And there are a lot more people that do it as a one-person show than do it with co-hosts, because it's more to organize and keep track of, and
right.
More responsibilities that people have to commit to if you have somebody else involved and all that kind of stuff. But you being comfortable with your medium that you're communicating with people on, whether it's live streaming, whether it's email, whether it's text messaging, it doesn't matter what it is. If you want to have better rapport and connection, you need to practice using that medium more. Bottom line. Until you're dead comfortable with it, so there's no nervousness anymore. Like, I show up to these live streams not knowing, in most cases, what we're going to live stream on. Joshua and I shoot the shit for 2 minutes. We brainstorm and spitball on a couple of ideas. One of us has a good one. We do it.
Right. And it always leads somewhere,
Yeah, and some of them are better than others. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't plan ahead. If you're a super crazy planner, then plan the next 30 days of your live streams, title them ahead of time if that's what gives you the peace of mind and the clarity in order to prepare yourself to do it. But the point is practice, right? Practice using the mode of communication that you're using. The next thing is, if you're going to, again, whether you're writing emails or doing live streams or otherwise, I recommend doing it daily.
Right.
I recommend practicing it, doing the activity at the same time every day, if possible. Okay? At least on a consistent schedule, as much as possible. It will increase your frequency. It'll increase your success rate. It will train your mind and body to slip into that mode, just like training with exercise. If you've ever been on a serious exercise training kick, if you can get it on schedule and on time regularly, again, with a training partner or a coach, like it makes all the difference in the world in terms of making faster progress. And then finally, as you're creating this content, let's say you're live streaming on a regular basis. By the way, Ben, I think I gave you an assignment yesterday to make your first live stream, and you asked me today how to build rapport with people. Did you do your first live stream yesterday, Ben? I really hope the answer is yes. I haven't seen it come through in 99 days, but I'm going to go look right now. So the way that you can do this is by focusing on helping to solve people's problems, adding value to their lives in ways that they're looking for help, right? And so that's it. That's what it comes right down to, is who are you focused on helping and how can you help them to get them in your sphere, and whether or not they ever buy anything from you. Good old J. Abraham strategy of preeminence. Thank you very much, right? Like, what can you constantly do on a regular basis in order to truly, genuinely, deeply help the people that you're focused on ultimately selling to, and hopefully point them in the direction of your products and services as solutions to their problems, assuming they have the problems that you solve with your products and services, whatever they happen to be. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you any stronger, Tillman. The thing that you just mentioned about J. Abraham and his preeminence, and that he came up with, I don't know, 20 some odd years ago, 30 years ago. Brilliant. And the way that he explains it, at least for me, was like shifted my entire way of being. When I think about creating value, when I think about providing insights, providing utility for other people. And what he said was, I have a fiduciary responsibility to take care of my clients. And I am not going to wait for money to change hands to start helping them.
That's right. That's right.
And if you've ever been on any of, when J. Abraham was doing big time direct mail, if you've ever received any of his direct mail, the pieces that he would send out were so valuable. I mean, like would help you in and of the pieces themselves. Besides selling you on whatever he wanted to sell you on, it was actually providing value. And he truly was living that in his experience. So, which leads me to another thought that I just wanted to put out there, specifically regarding the online world, which is I said this in a previous live stream when we went in depth on inside the Art of Email Marketing group several months back. But basically, every type of marketing now is information-based marketing, and so there's no better medium than the online world to communicate information in some way, shape, or form. I don't care whether you're selling a physical widget that you have to then ship to them. The concept is that you've got information that you need to share. Now, if you're really taking this to heart, two things need to happen. One, you need to acknowledge that just not any old information. It's got to be insight-based. And when I say insight-based, what I mean is that it's got to have some utility to it, meaning that somebody can take an insight and they go, holy shit, I didn't know that about that. And they can then, they decide that they receive some value, some utility that they can then apply that in their life to getting something that they want to get out of it.
That's right.
So I would even go so far as to say that everything's insight-based marketing, not necessarily information marketing, because nobody just wants more information. I mean, we're glutted, which leads me to the next thing, which is that everything now is enrollment-based, right? It's about, as Alex Mendozian used to say, the shy yes, right? It's enrollment-based, meaning that, especially in the online world, but anybody that's really good at building rapport offline, what they're doing is they're enrolling people in the relationship, in establishing a relationship, in growing a deeper relationship, in them wanting to be served by them. So in the online world, everything's enrollment based, which means that the other person, not you wanting to build the rapport, but the other person, it's in their 100% control whether they give you the enrollment that you're looking for, whether that's an opt-in to join your newsletter list, whether it's a download of your free report, whether it's registering for a webinar, whatever that might be. It's all enrollment based, which means that it's easy for them to say, I'm out. Because I don't have to do anything. There's nothing that says that I have to stop and watch you. There's nothing that says that I have to want to. I have to decide that it's in my best interest to. And that's a very different way of thinking. And that's the big difference, is that while it's no different than offline, the decision to proceed forward, it's up to the other person. So you've got to be enrolling. And the only way that you can be enrolling is by speaking to what they want to be enrolled in, because it's about them, right? And they make the decision when that happens. And it's just like my asshole to advisor process, right? I mean, that's really the essence of what we're doing here. We're just trying to systemize it and use technology to enhance the relationship building.
I guess that I'm getting hungry for lunch. The reason I say this is because, I'm going to do another cool pizza reference. So I'd like you to imagine.
You're going to make me hungry now.
I'd like you to imagine that you had a pizza restaurant. And for argument's sake, I even want you to imagine you had a pizza restaurant that you had just sunk your life savings into and like a bunch of investor money into, and you were just opened the doors 2 days before COVID hit, and that you're in a state that isn't allowing food to be served. I don't know if there are any states that are still doing that or not, but let's just say for argument's sake, you have no customers. Okay? So what's a way you could turn a pizza restaurant, and I actually have an answer for this, is what's a way you could turn a pizza restaurant into an info marketing business, right? And so just go down this path with me for a moment. It's an unusual example. So first of all, you might come up with a website called Perfect Pizza, or like Pizza Fanatics, or The Pizza Chef, or whatever. And maybe what you do is you say, I'm going to teach you how to make the perfect pizza. And you do Facebook live streams. And at first you start showing people how to make perfect pizza. Okay? Awesome pizza in different ways. Every day, make pizza, cook it in the oven, sing a little song to them while it's cooking, do a little dance, do a little giveaway, whatever. And then at the end, you eat your pizza. They all look at it. They all want it. But they don't have any ingredients, right? So what do? You sell them the ingredients. And now you're shipping ingredients to make perfect pizza directly to their door. Now, what happens if you do it in the pizza box? And once a week, they get a box, or maybe once a month, they get a box with all the ingredients to make 4 different types of pizzas for Friday pizza night or whatever. Now, are they going to want to buy a peel? The big wooden thing that you use for the pizza? Are they going to need a really good pizza slicer? Might they even need a special countertop pizza oven? You betcha. And so now, all of a sudden, you're bringing the pizza directly to their home. Now, check this out. What about in search for the perfect pizza? Could you then go out and start doing live stream videos, going to the best pizza restaurants and places in the world to do pizza reviews just to continue to tap into pizza fanatics? And then again, turn around, go back to your pizza restaurant, try to recreate the pizzas and give them a recipe. I mean, there's lots of different ways you could twist this and do this. But the point is, if you have a pizza restaurant, you're not out of business. You do need to rethink it, and you might need to approach it in some different ways. But that's just an example of a very bricks and mortar business that has been dramatically impacted by the current state of the world, that absolutely could pivot and still sell all their same stuff to all their same people and blow sky high, so they're no longer limited to their local market.
Yeah.
Right? So think about how you could apply that in terms of building bond, rapport, and trust with your people online. What are some examples that you might be able to do? For those of you watching, what industry, business, or niche are you in? Who are you trying to connect with? Who are you focused on serving? Who are you focused on building rapport and bond and trust with? And that's another key ingredient to building your platform. So we were talking a couple days ago, Joshua, about the platform formula, right?
Yes.
And I think we talked about your audience plus your channel.
Yep.
I think were the words that we used. Maybe your tribe plus your channel. Who are the people that you're focused on? And what's the channel, the primary channel of communication that you're focused on communicating them through? Or the channels, there may be multiple. And that really makes up some or all, we're not quite sure on the formula yet, but we're getting there, of the platform. And that's your ability to be able to reach out and communicate with prospects, clients, and customers who probably already want and need the types of products and services that you have to offer.
Well, the missing ingredient, frankly, because then at that point, you could say that all platforms are equal, right? Like if I just have a target in mind in terms of who I want to talk to and who I want to serve, and I have a way to talk to them, then I've got it. And in fact, then it has to do with the third key ingredient, which is how do you build relationship with them so that they're happy to hear from you, through whatever that mechanism is that you're talking to them, so that they're excited to hear from you, so that they are anticipating the next communication.
That's right.
And that's the big difference, because and I think, when it comes to like building rapport online, offline too, but online, people jump the gun and they want to propose marriage before they've even gotten the first date, right? I mean, like they're ready to start, jumping in the sack and having sex before they've even, shook hands and met somebody.
Right.
You know what I mean? And there's a process and unfolding that has to happen, and that's where the A to A process comes into effect in terms of just monitoring how somebody goes from complete stranger to trusted advisor consigliere status, where they're willing to take your advice on anything because it's coming from you, basically, and then all the various points in between. And really, there's 7 mental conversations that go on in between complete stranger and you're my Oprah, you're my trusted advisor, I'm going to take your word on everything. And here's the thing that most people miss is that before somebody's ready to actually give you money, they've got to move into an authority conversation with you, where they're not only do they have to know, and trust you, they got to respect you. That's the missing ingredient. And that means that they've got to shift into an authority-based, where they see you as some sort of an authority on the subject matter. And very often, people make the mistake of assuming that somebody's coming in as a complete stranger, not knowing all the things that you know already, and you talk to them as though you're already an authority, right, and that they're supposed to know that, and they're supposed to believe that, right, and that's where the miscommunication.
That's where you look like a pompous ass who's not listening to anyone.
Yeah,
that's one of the things. So it's interesting. It's not exactly the same, but it's really similar. Building connection with people online, building rapport and trust with potential clients and customers online is very, very similar to dating and building relationships with new people that you're meeting in a romantic sense. Because like, you're not asking him or her to give you a bunch of money, hopefully, in a romantic, dating scenario or situation, but you're asking for something potentially like more valuable than money, which is their time and their personal attention. And going from a dating app where you just met someone to actually spending time together and then perhaps getting romantic. Like that's a bit, there are several steps along the way that you have to get right? In order to pull that off and then have it turn into something long-term. Same is true with online customers and clients. It's not a one and done situation. You can't just, expect people to give you their credit card right off the bat before they know who you are. And so this is where the power of building your own platform or email list really comes in, because you can put all your time, effort, and energy into creating content on Facebook. You can put all your time, effort, and energy into creating content on YouTube or on LinkedIn or on Twitter or on TikTok or whatever, right? And at some point, whatever social media platform you're using, whatever social media tool you're using, their algorithm is going to change, or they're going to shut you down. One of those two things is going to happen.
For sure.
Either you're going to screw up, probably unknowingly, and you'll get your Facebook account shut down. You'll get your Facebook ad account banned. You'll get your YouTube account shut down. You'll have your Twitter. Like, these things have all happened to Joshua and I. And sometimes you'll get them back and sometimes you won't. And so what you want to do is use those channels that you're initially using to build rapport and bond and trust, use them to drive people into your email list, into the next step, so that you now have direct ability to control the communication flow outbound to them. Facebook can't change the algorithm on that, right? You own your email list. And
do your best to make it enrollment based.
That's right.
So that it becomes at the service of others. It becomes their idea. Not only do they want it, but they make the decision to move forward. Their whole intention is to go there to opt in at that point, or whenever they're ready, they're getting value from it, and that's what I mean by enrollment based. I mean, I have several case studies that I can share with you, like both teaching you how to do this, and also to see just one application of how I do it, and how I look to serve people. And I mean, I'm thinking of 3 off the top of my head right now that one's more personal development oriented. It's not quite complete, but it's enough so that people can see exactly how it works and what I mean by enrollment based, and not waiting for money to change hands before I even, give them all sorts of value.
So how about this, guys? First of all, if you have questions or challenges around building rapport and trust and a bond online, because it is a different game than doing it face-to-face or in person. If you have challenges around this and you want help solving them while increasing your following all at the same time, type trust. Just type trust into the comments, and then shoot me or Joshua a private message, and we will give you all of those links, right, to where you can check that out. As well as if you are liking this idea of building your platform, building your audience, and doing that in a way that really creates leverage, so you're not stuck just doing one-on-one conversations all the time in order to grow your business, then we'll give you a link to Joshua's platform assessment tool that he set up to really help you get thinking about your own platform and the ways in which you can focus your mind so you can start growing it and really growing your influence and ability to increase your income as your following and as your tribe begins to grow bigger and bigger. So just type trust into the comments, and we'll send you the links to those case studies and the platform audio.
Yeah, and if you're watching this on rebroadcast, sometimes we don't get notified of the comments. So just shoot us a private message and let us know that you're interested in seeing what that's all about.
Exactly. So, there are so once you start, and hey, maybe you already know exactly what the wants, needs, and desires are of your perfect customers because you've been selling to them in an offline environment for years. You mentioned this earlier, Joshua.
Right.
I spoke with someone who is in network marketing, and he's like, I'm doing all this stuff on social media and Facebook. I'm making posts, I'm making videos, but nobody's buying anything. Nobody's signing up for my opportunity. I'm like, well, are you just trying to sign them up for an opportunity straight away? And he's like, yeah, nobody's signing up. I'm like, that's because they don't sign up for the opportunity. I asked him, what did you do before you signed up to this network marketing company? And he said, I was in sales for 31 years. I'm like, he's like, it's just totally different online. I'm like, great. Could you teach network marketers how to be better at sales? He's like, absolutely. I'm like, maybe you should start there. So they're opting in to learn something from you personally before you have any mention of the network marketing opportunity that you're involved in. How's that sound? And ding, the light bulb, went on.
Yeah.
So that's the thing is the whole focus here is connecting with you. The whole focus here is how can you best serve your perfect people right now? That's the place to start.
Yep.
And then what you do is you start automating it. So let me just give you an example. Okay. So I'm going to give you an example for our customers first. So let's say we're talking about existing entrepreneur or business owner that has decided that they're going to scale their business online by building an online platform around it. They're kind of taking on the new world of internet business. They have an established business. They've been doing it for years. They're now ready to grow online. Corona was the impetus. So very common right now, right?
Yep.
So in that kind of situation, it's like, well, what do those types of people need to learn or figure out? Well, so here's some of the things that you need to figure out if you're in that situation. These are some really important pieces to the puzzle. You absolutely need to figure out who your target market is. Who are you focused on serving? And you may or may not get that exactly right as you get started. It is a work in progress and it will always be evolving, but you can learn some things and take your best shot and adjust over time. So who's the market? Who are you focused on? Where are your skill sets and abilities? How can you actually add value to their lives? You need to figure that out, right? You may need to ask them questions. You're also going to need to figure out your primary traffic source. Is it Facebook? Is it Twitter? Is it YouTube? Is it Instagram? Is it TikTok? Is it solo ads? Is it AdSense? Are you using Google SEO? What is the primary source of traffic where you personally are going to have the easiest time getting in front of your people? Okay.
Right.
You're going to need to choose an autoresponder so you can build your email list. You're going to need to have some software, some website / landing page creation software like ClickFunnels or Convertri or Samcart or one of these platforms that's going to allow you to build your email list and sell products or services in the future.
Right.
You're probably going to need a great webcam, mic, and or iPhone so you can start recording some videos. Or if you refuse to record videos, you're going to need to get good at writing, right? Starting a podcast is another option. But what method are you going to use to communicate, educate, and connect with your people? These are all things that you're going to figure out one way or the other if you build a successful online business using the principles that we're talking about here. But if you don't know what questions to ask yourself, if you don't know what you're even looking for, it's just confusing and it's hard to tell what order to do things in. So those are some examples that of questions we all need to answer for every new online business that we're starting up. And if you've never done it before, you'd be stuck. But hopefully, if you haven't done it before and what I said was helpful, it'll make a difference to you, right? It is definitely, those are entry-level suggestions when you're just beginning to get going online, when you're just bringing your business online for the first time. But if I knew that we were focused on helping existing email list owners in order to increase the results of their email list, the profitability and the growth of their email list, I would give a totally different set of hints, tips, and suggestions of ideas and concepts that would help to grow their business and do better. But it would be essentially over the head of everybody who's just starting right now, and they wouldn't have any idea what the hell I'm talking about.
Right.
So we go back and forth a little bit between existing entrepreneurs who are looking to build and scale online and then existing internet entrepreneurs that are really looking to explode, right? And very rarely do we work with people who are just starting their first business ever, right? Because there's so much to learn, and there really is.
For sure. You said a mouthful.
wicked mouthful.
And all of it, I mean, at least in my estimation, extremely valuable from my point of view. The other thing that I think is a useful way to look at this when you're trying to think about what could I provide in the way of value and how could I, entice people to enroll in moving forward in deepening the relationship, the rapport, and have it be on their terms so it's their idea, is to think in terms of, in addition to the solutions that you have that's part of your stupid human trick, is to think about, I love this particular question. What is the thing that they think is the problem, but it isn't really the problem? And if they knew what the true problem was, that they would, be able to move forward in whatever that challenge is in their life. And very often, I don't think I could make the flat statement saying all the time, but I don't think I've ever found a situation where I couldn't dig deep enough to find out what that is for a particular situation. But there's usually something that is a mistaken concept or an idea that is a false belief that is unnecessarily limiting them from moving forward because they believe that it is set in stone this way.
That's right.
For whatever the topic is. And if they knew, and actually that is their real problem. It isn't getting more, tactical information or whatever. The real problem is solving the upstream problem or the root of the issue, as opposed to just dealing with the symptoms of the issue.
That's right.
And so if you speak to that, now all of a sudden you're providing insight to people. You're giving them like, holy shit, I didn't know that. And if they can get that on their own, and you can lead them to those insights, and by not just cramming it down their throat, saying that's not the real issue, is to let them evolve on their own and discover it for themselves, even though you've engineered the discovery process over time. That it does that. That's what I mean by providing an insight to people. When you say insight, like when somebody says to you, holy shit, I didn't know that. It can be about a problem. It can be about a challenge. It could be like even a problem that they didn't even know that they had. Right. And that they think the problem is this, and really the problem is that. And until they deal with that, you can continue to bang your head against the wall. Nothing you try is going to fix it. You know what I mean? It's the zero factor. And it's, comes back to what we talked about several weeks ago with painting over rust, right? Like no matter how you dress it up, no matter how good the paint is, no matter how fancy you are and what a great artist it is to paint on top of that rust, if you don't clean off the rust first and get down to the raw metal before painting it, very soon that rust is going to bubble back to the surface, and it's going to be like you didn't paint it to begin with. So that's an example of, the problem not being the real problem.
Yep, it's true. I mean, at the end of the day, building trust and rapport online specifically, the more interactive you can be with your people, the more you can genuinely listen and pay attention to their wants, their needs, their troubles, their issues, their challenges. And the better a job you can do of finding solutions for them, whether or not you get paid directly for those solutions, overall, that's how, right? The more responsive you can be, generally speaking, the better. The more you actually genuinely and deeply care and express that you care for your people, the more trust and rapport there will be. It's not about the tools. It's not about the email. It's not about the Twitter tweet, right? It's about whether or not you give a shit.
Right.
I mean,
and does that come across as genuine?
But if you give too much of a shit, then it will take up your entire life, and then you won't have a time, like your whole business will be filled answering emails because you'll have a giant email list and you respond to every single one of them, and you have to work 20 hours a day.
Well, and you also see this, pardon me, but I think you brought up an extremely important point, and you see this a lot in the personal development, spiritual development arenas where they build a large following, but they literally condition their list not to want to pay for solutions.
Right.
They literally have this scarcity mindset, and it's bred into the way that they're communicating with them, such that there's no, like, it's an apology when you make an offer to them. And it's really something important to think about. I'm not saying don't serve them, because obviously this whole thing is based upon service, but you really have to think about how you deliver the value so that you're not conditioning, you're not culturing into the very list the need for, like, never to buy anything, or never to do business further, or never to invest in themselves, to shortcut the process, and to speed up what they want to know, because that's important, right? Like, whether you're marketing with insights a physical product, a widget, or whether you're doing some intangible type product like a training or some sort of educational component or like that, you still need to give them the belief that investing in themselves to improve whatever it is, whether it's the widget or whatever, is a smart decision. And if you don't believe it is a smart decision, stop selling whatever it is that you're selling, because you don't believe in it and it isn't serving people.
Right.
And if you do believe in it, then it's a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense, right? So anyway, I just want to add that in.
It's true. It really makes a big, big, big difference when you're using these elements and principles. It's so. I mean, the good news is, as you practice this stuff, as you start doing it, it will seem awkward at first, but it will become comfortable over time, like any new skill, right?
Right.
Like anything you're doing. I mean, but like Facebook Lives and the Zoom call revolution that's occurred, just your ability to interact on a personal level with people at a large scale is easier now than it's ever been in the history of humanity. Your ability to build a following, a tribe, a platform around what you and your business stand for, about what you're trying to create in the world, whether you're a nonprofit, whether you're a spiritual guru, whether you're like selling MLM products. I mean, honestly, it doesn't matter. What does matter is whether or not you're just in it for yourself, or whether you're genuinely in it for your people. And if you're genuinely in it for your people, you're going to find you're going to have a much better time, a much easier time, a much more rewarding time building your business. And I would suggest that if you really have a hard time with this, I'd read some books on leadership. Mm. And the reason is because you're going to need leadership skills to build your team, and you're going to need leadership skills to lead your tribe. Watch some TED Talks, pick up some books on Amazon, listen to some books on Audible, like get your leadership brain working, because if you're having a hard time getting people to get on board with what you're working on, chances are that your vision isn't very clear, or it's not being communicated very clearly. If people aren't responding well to your message and aren't saying, hey, I want to learn more about that. That sounds really cool. And that comes with practice. It really does.
For sure.
Awesome. Well, if you're interested in building more trust and rapport with people online, then type the word trust into the comments. We have 3 great resources that we'll share with you. Type the word trust in the comments and shoot either Joshua or myself a private message to make sure that we see it. We'll give you the links that you need to check that out. And
again, if you're watching this, on the recorded version, then definitely shoot us a private message, one of us, so that we can actually be notified of it. Because oftentimes we don't even see the notification of comments after. That's right. After the live is done.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, Joshua, thanks for another great live stream.
Likewise, man.
All right, everybody. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic afternoon, and we will talk with you soon.
See ya.
Over and out.
Bye.